Greece, Paul of Tarsus wrote, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances." I love these words. And yet, I have to ask, really, how possible is it to be happy all the time, to pray without ceasing, to be grateful for everything we experience in life? Perhaps Paul is just kind of giving us an ideal, something to strive for, but probably we will not obtain. But Paul's words, written so many years ago, are important for how they are strung together. There is a relatively new branch of psychology called positive psychology, which was established in 1998. And its research suggests that Paul's stringing together these three elements of happiness, prayer, and gratitude contain the secret to living a happier life. Their studies show a very real connection between gratitude and happiness. So the ancient words of Paul have more contemporary relevance than would seem at first glance, because they emphasize the importance of a grateful awareness. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. And as a side note, it was Paul of Tarsus who, from a prison cell in Rome, wrote, "Rejoice in the Lord always, and I say again, rejoice." For many years, spiritual and psychological teachers have understood the benefits of a grateful life. These beliefs are now supported by the results of the studies that they did, the studies on the effects of gratitude. So one of the studies that they did was they had three groups, and each group was to journal daily. The first group was to journal daily gratitudes, only what you're grateful for. The second group was to journal only problems that they had during the day. And the third group just journaled what happened that day. Well, the data showed that the individuals in the gratitude journaling group felt better about their lives as a whole and more hopeful about the future than the members of the other two groups. No real surprise here. We understand that here at Unity. But scientists do like their empirical evidence. I believe in the benefits of journaling. It's a powerful tool for human and spiritual growth. And when we keep a specific kind of journal, then we begin looking for those specific things. And when we begin looking for them, we begin seeing more and more. So when we are keeping a gratitude journal, when we are keeping a blessing journal, that's what we search for. That's what we see. As a spiritual director, when I have suggested a gratitude journal, I have had people say to me, "I have nothing to be grateful for. I have nothing I can write down." And my response is always the same. Find something, anything that you can write down daily. I don't care if it's indoor plumbing and hot running water. Find something that you can write down. Another benefit of a gratitude journal is that we begin to be more aware of the good things that other people do for us. And then we become ready to express our gratitude. So we see it and we speak it. I hear a lot of gratitude spoken in this church. Thank you for doing this. Shyla, thank you for this. Carolyn, thank you for the prayers. Charlie, thank you for your leadership. Paula, thank you for all that you've done in the search. And Bob, thank you for just being you. So let's see, where was I when I digressed? All right. It's important to understand, though, that everyone has a gratitude or a happiness set point, Whether it is from nature or nurture, we don't know. But everyone has this set point where when good things happen, they kind of boost their appreciation and they go back to that set point. Or something bad happens and they come back to that set point. But here's the thing, that set point can be changed with conscious work. And gratitude journaling is one of the ways that that set point can be increased. For when we strive to search out our gratitudes in life, we will find them. So here's three things to consider when we look at our level of gratefulness. The first one is the intensity with which we experience that gratefulness. For instance, I could say, oh yeah, it's a beautiful day. Or I could say, oh my gosh, look at that sunrise. Oh my gosh. This intensity increases your awareness of the gratitude. Second thing is, we all take things for granted. Things happen in life and we just keep going, yeah, Shyla fixed the altar, yeah, cool. But when we stop and go, wow, that's really great. We stop and look at the little things that we kind of gloss over because they're always there. And the people are always there. And lastly, rejoicing over a success or achievement also has to include the people that helped you. For instance, I really appreciate you guys being here because if you weren't there to appreciate my talk, I wouldn't be here. So, appreciating what people do for us. Sometimes we get in touch with our blessings only when they have been threatened or they have been lost. Close calls or a prospect of a serious illness rouses us from complacency and renews our appreciation for the preciousness of life. As most of you know, my husband received a very serious cancer diagnosis a year and a half ago. And so for the last year and a half, it has been a process of deepening faith and acceptance for both of us. Jim told me the other day that he would not trade his cancer diagnosis for anything because it has brought him closer to God and gives him a better appreciation for his own life and the people in it. And that means that I also have to become grateful for his disease. Well, let me tell you, it's a work in progress. To live spiritual, vital lives requires that we make gratitude a habit. And maintaining an attitude of gratitude requires a willingness to look at everything with appreciation. It involves the conscious choice to look at it. We all have the choice in our response to life. Julian of Norwich was a 14th century mystic, lived in Norwich, England. And she lived in a very tumultuous times in the 1300s. The 1300s was racked by death, pain, and chaos. The Black Death was devastating Europe, causing disaster on an unprecedented level. It is estimated that the Black Death killed between 30 to 60% of the entire population of Europe. And I say 30 to 60% because some cities were completely almost annihilated. Like, I think one of the Italian, well, some of the cities in northern Italy, it was like 75% of the people died with the Black Death. I mean, it was horrendous. And to top that off, severe crop failures threatened the onset of famine at a time when the economic resources of England and France were stretched and drained because of the 100 Years' War, which was actually 116 years. But you get my idea here. It was tumultuous chaos during that time period. So this was the time period that Julian lived in. But her theology was optimism, speaking of God's love in terms of joy and compassion, which was the exact opposite of what people believed and thought and spoke of in those days. They talked of the death and the chaos and the starvation as being God's punishment for obviously you sinned. But that was not her position. She did not see suffering as a punishment that God inflicted. And she's known for this quote, "All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." And this line came to her from God, assuring her that no matter how fragile life seemed, God, like our clothing, wraps and enfolds us. This insight came as she was contemplating something very tiny in her hand, probably a seed or a nut. And she gazed at this small object and was amazed at its ongoing existence. How could something so tiny and fragile be able to survive in a universe filled with so many dangers? Her heart was illuminated when she understood that the tiny object, as well as everything else in the universe, was held safely together in God's hands. All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. She believed that everything is a gift. And that's a difficult stance to take. Some things don't feel like gifts. And she believed that since everything was a gift, therefore our response needs simply to be one of praise, one of thanks. And that when this simple response of praise and thanks becomes our life stance, we are moved to cherish everything as a gift, to be cared for and nurtured. Now it's time for my disclaimer. As a spiritual director, I teach things like gratitude and forgiveness, many things like this. I teach them because I believe in them. I believe that they help us to grow and to flourish. I do not teach them because I have perfected them. Okay? I am a work in progress. And I too am working at increasing my gratitude at such a point. And we all have a happiness set point that is possible to change. And I truly believe that the intentional activity, such as the spiritual practice of gratitude, can influence that set point. Now, you guys know I love the old Buddhist stories. And I'm going to tell you my favorite as it relates to gratitude. So sit back and relax. Right? So there was once a Buddhist disciple, and he goes to his Buddhist master and he says, "Master, you've got to help me. It's just terrible. My wife, my children, my in-laws, we all live together in one room, and it's terrible. We're always angry at each other. We're yelling at each other. It's dirty, and we're all miserable. You've got to help me." And the master looks at him and he says, "Do you promise to do what I say?" That's, "Oh yes, I will do whatever you say. I'll do whatever it takes." The master says, "Okay, how many animals do you have?" The man says, "Let's see, I've got a dog and a goat and 6 chickens." The master says, "Well, go home and bring the animals into the home and come back in a week." Wow, the man was appalled. Oh my God, this is going to make it much worse. But a promise is a promise. So he goes home, takes the animals in. He comes back in a week. He is a pitiable figure. Oh my God, he says, "This is killing us. This is so difficult. You've got to help me. Oh my gosh, it's so terrible, the noise, the stench. The master says, okay, go home and take the animals out of the house. So off he runs. He comes back the next day and he says, life is so wonderful. The house is so quiet and it's so clean. Thank you so much. Simply put, gratitude is a change in perception. A change in perception. When we dwell on how life does not unfold according to our expectations, resentments can build. On the other hand, when we accept that life is a mystery to be entered into, we are able to be grateful for the gift of our lives, even when we cannot make sense of what is happening around us. We begin this change one little step at a time. So I would like to encourage you, when you consciously take this path, number one, be gentle with yourself. Do not judge yourself for an inability to feel grateful about something that you think you should be grateful for. Be gentle with yourself. Baby steps. Seek change in small ways. It does not always come naturally or easily, but it can be cultivated. Gratitude does not always come easily, but we can cultivate it. One of the things that helps is spend time in nature. Try to spend some time in nature or with nature daily. Whether a dog, a cat, hug a tree, plant a plant, spend some time in nature daily. And connect with people who love and support you, especially things like church potlucks. They are quite wonderful. So as we are told by Paul in his letter to the Thessalonians 2,000 years ago, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. And I would add, make time each day to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. See the blessings all around you, all around you. I am looking out at many blessings right here. Thank you and namaste.
That was really wonderful. Thank you very much.